In my personal and professional lives, I deal with a lot of gray matters. What are gray matters? Maybe the best way to understand it is to actually start with a couple of questions. So who here in the audience thinks it's wrong to walk into the Apple store and steal an iPhone? Who thinks that's wrong? All right, most of you, good. And what about milk duds? Does anyone feel it's wrong to walk into a convenience store and steal a pack of milk duds? Who feels that's wrong? Again, almost all of you. What about setting ahead the clock, the date on your iPhone in order to get free hearts or diamonds in your favorite addictive iPhone games? Does anyone think that's wrong? Who thinks that's wrong? Only a few people. The app developers of these incredible games that sometimes you could download for free, they'd like you to buy a 99-cent heart pack in order to keep playing, but there's a little secret. You could just advance your clock and reset the 6 hours, and all of a sudden you have more playing time. Maybe that's wrong. We're not sure. And what about downloading YouTube videos? Does anyone think it's wrong to download a YouTube video? We're able to play them and listen to them as often as we want for free, but YouTube doesn't necessarily love us putting them on our own computers. So from examples that are clearly black and white, everyone in the room raised their hands and said, no question, I'm not stealing milk duds or an iPhone, to ones that stray into this gray territory, what we find is that as technology advances, the black and the white become increasingly murky, and it becomes increasingly complicated to figure out what's right and what's wrong. And this is not necessarily a new dilemma. There's always been ethical problems throughout history, difficult things to navigate to figure out the right from the wrong, the black from the white. But what has happened as technology advances at such a breakneck pace, we can't keep up with these decisions, and we need new frameworks, and we need new ways of thinking about how to distinguish from black and white. We can download music, we can share our HBO Go accounts to watch Game of Thrones with our friends, we can even, if we're good programmers, kind of jump the line in order to get tickets to our favorite concerts. So the big question, I think, is not necessarily what's right and what's wrong, but what happens in our society as even we can't tell, as the difference between black and white, right and wrong, becomes something that feels fuzzy and is quite gray. And as important, who gets to decide? Who is the arbiter? Well, it's certainly not me, but who is the person that decides right from wrong? Is it Congress? I don't think so. These guys, at best, are 10 years behind the current technology. So they may be catching up these days with legislation that addressed things that we were doing a decade ago. Is it your parents? By the way, this is Alan and Leora Schmelkin, my parents from Oceanside, New York, a couple of towns over. They're here in the audience. It could be your parents if your parents are particularly technologically savvy, but not everyone's parents are necessarily that. Is it your teachers from right here in Mepham High? Well, certainly they engage you on issues of ethics and the appropriate use of technology. They too may not be the ones to help to navigate it. Is it the seniors here? Is it your classmates? Is it the internet? Is it Why You Know Guy? The sources that we turn to parse and navigate black from white and right from wrong are difficult. And I think one way to help to understand this is to maybe take a step back and to look at, well, why do we do these things? Why do we wind up in positions where it's actually difficult for us to decide right from wrong? And one of the first reasons is because we can, because I am able to click a button and download a song, or I am able to share an account with a friend. It allows me to feel like I'm empowered, so I'm just going to go and do it. And I may not always think if it's right or wrong. Another reason is, well, it's only fair. I have an episode of Game of Thrones that I've been trying to catch up on, and it's sitting on my DVR at home. And now I'm about to go on a flight. And I could probably go find a place to download that episode, maybe from a place that I'm not supposed to, and put it on my iPhone to watch on a plane. But it's only fair, right? I have it sitting on my DVR at home. I just want to watch it on that plane. And maybe the most complicated one is because no one got hurt. Oftentimes, when we're doing things on the privacy of our phones or in front of the computer, well, maybe no one's getting hurt. Certainly that shop owner, if I stole his milk duds, everyone agreed he got hurt. It was his milk duds, and I didn't pay for them. But in this world of digital assets, and in this world where maybe there wasn't anyone on the other end that actually was affected, did they actually get hurt? So a couple of examples I'd love to jump through, maybe a bit more first about me. I grew up around computers. I've kind of been a tech kid since really the youngest of ages, going to a local university and hanging out at the computer lab. And then I kind of grew up in the internet age and was really around since the very early start of the tech industry. And that means even to this day, I'm still able to tinker and code and program things that I want, which takes me to my annual vacation down to a resort. And every year around the holidays, I go down with my family to the same exact place, and every year around the holidays, they have the exact same problem, a terrible shortage of umbrellas by the pool. So the way we used to handle that problem for years and years is you got to get out to the pool early, and you take a $20, you find the pool boy, you slip him $20, and he takes care of your umbrella for the rest of the week. Well, last year, when we showed up at this same place, something new and innovative had been put in place. They launched this crazy app. And at 4 o'clock every day, you had to load up this mobile app, and you had to, before any of the other guests at this resort, click on the umbrella that you wanted to secure it for the next day. Now, I'm on vacation. I'm surrounded with screens and with technology my entire life. All I want to do is actually unwind and unplug. And now they're telling me at 4 o'clock every day I have to do this. And of course, I'm the one in my family that's going to be responsible. So I say, no way, I'm not having that. I know in a heartbeat that I'm going to be able to program something at 4 o'clock in 1 millisecond to basically be at the front of the line so I can grab my umbrella. And it just so happens I happen to be pretty close friends with a very senior executive in the global company, the public company that owns this resort. So I send him a note and I say, watch out, because I'm pissed and I am going to spend the next few hours when I really should be on the beach with my family, but instead I'm going to figure out a way to code something to jump the line. And ever the daring responder, my friend writes back, all I can say is take advantage. And basically, here's this C-level exec at a global, huge corporation saying, have at it. And the inner nerd in me is swelling up, and I'm thinking to myself, game on. So I go back to my room, I bust out my iPad, and it's actually very fast. In only about an hour or so, I script up the necessary code to be able to, at exactly 4 o'clock, jump into the front of the line and secure my umbrella. Now, it didn't end there, and it probably could have, and that was where I was trying to decide, right from wrong. What happened was, in discovering this system and figuring it out, I actually wound up being able to get much further into the system than they probably ever intended, exposing usernames and credit cards and passwords and probably all sorts of things that were on the wrong side of this that I definitely shouldn't have taken and didn't take advantage of. So I bundled it all up and I sent an email off to my friend, and it's my favorite kind of reply I've ever gotten from a C-level exec at a public company. He writes, "You pwned us." So basically, they took the site offline, and I think I'm going to go down in this December, and we'll see if the $20 trick is going to work again. So staying on this because I can, another aspect of using technology, we send our kids every summer to this great camp, Camp Equinunk in Wayne County, Pennsylvania, and it's the idyllic setting with the lake and the fields and the cabins and all this terrific outdoor activity. And our kids are expected to unplug, but what happens is, as their parents, we wind up sitting in front of our computer and pressing refresh every 15 minutes to see new photos that have been posted of our kids. And on the screen right now is just one summer's worth of photos. Hundreds and hundreds of photos of just my beautiful children running around a camp. And for a number of years, all you had to do was go onto the website and you could just click on all the photos, you could save them to your computer, share them with your family, share them with the grandparents. But something happened last year. They put up a block that when you tried to click on the photo, it actually prevented you from doing it. And it popped up something that said you could buy this photo for $1.99. Now there's 800 photos here at $1.99 a piece. And it occurs to me, because I know how these things are built, well, hang on a second, you're giving me these photos for free. And something else which you may not be aware of, anytime you actually load something on your phone, on your computer, all the images, they're actually getting stored away in a directory in a place on your computer. So all I had to do was go to that directory, which not a lot of people know about, and the 800 photos are sitting there. And here I am again faced with this dilemma. The technology has advanced so fast, but but these photos are mine, I already have them. Is it right to keep them? Is it right to share them? Or am I supposed to spend the $2 per photo? So staying with camp, this now actually affects our kids because it's only fair. You're probably familiar with the Apple Music service. It's Apple's kind of all-you-can-eat streaming service where you sign up, you can listen to any artist that they have in the catalog, as many songs as you want. And it's terrific. Our kids love it. They listen to it all day long. In fact, they think it's free. They don't realize that we're the ones that are paying for it. But our kids love to bring their hip-hop and their rap music to camp. Well, enter the camp electronic usage policy, which we actually love. And it says in big, bright letters, you can't bring an iPhone or a Wi-Fi enabled device to camp. Well, here's the trouble. Apple Music, you need an iPhone. You need a Wi-Fi enabled device. In fact, you can even save the songs offline to listen to on the subway, to listen to on the plane, but you can't do that on like one of those little iPod Nanos. So my son comes to me and he says, Dad, we get this music for free. We have it unlimited. I've got my Kanye. I need to bring Kanye to camp. I know I can go on YouTube and just click and download these songs, and I know YouTube says that may not be right. It gives me a big warning when I try to do that, but is it wrong? So we've been doing this forever, right? We've been making and copying music. When I was in high school and younger, we used to make mixtapes, but it was painful and it was inaccurate and the quality was terrible and it took a long time. But now, all you gotta do is just click that button. And it's only fair, right? We already have access to it. It's only fair. And you have to figure out, is that right, is that wrong? And now this is the one that often causes us to think the most about the black and the white, because no one gets hurt. I just lived through this, an interesting experience in a technology-enabled company, Amazon. So we needed little hangers for little clothes, and I found this pack of 18 for $10 or so on Amazon, and we order it, and it shows up the next day because of Amazon Prime, and the hangers are horrible. They're flaking, they're breaking apart, there's little chips of plastic everywhere, and I say, this is crazy, we gotta return them to Amazon. They don't wanna stand behind this quality. So I load it up, I go through the process of doing the return. Normally Amazon gives you a reply label and you mail the thing back to them, but lo and behold, they told me, don't worry, we've processed your return, you don't need to send anything back to us. Now I'm looking, and I don't want these hangers. We're throwing them out, we're recycling them no matter what. But imagine if everyone figured out that for something of about the same size, about $10, about the same weight, you could order it from Amazon and kind of play with that issue of, do I want it, do I not? And they're just gonna let you keep it. That's a dangerous, dangerous thing. But in this case, I really wanted to return it, I didn't want it. And it brings us to another powerful concept of no one got hurt. Everyone's probably familiar with the hit Broadway musical Hamilton by this point. And Hamilton's producers and the writer, the owner, go to great lengths to protect their media, and they should. It's an amazing show, and they should be able to charge as much money as they can get to get tickets in order to go see it. But over this past summer, I was up late, I was actually clicking around on YouTube, and all of a sudden, I stumble across this YouTube channel where some owner, every 15 or 20 minutes or so, is uploading scenes that they clearly had snuck in and video recorded at Hamilton. And that's wrong, right? That scene, that recording, it's in violation. They tell you at the start of the show, please, no use of recording devices. But here I am sitting there late at night clicking on YouTube, and I know that this owner shouldn't have done it. And every single scene in Hamilton is sitting there, a show that we would all want to see. Is it wrong of me to click on the video and watch it? I don't think so, but again, I certainly know that Hamilton wouldn't have wanted that, the producers. So where do we find ourselves? We're in an age where these questions are almost impossible to parse, and it draws on the very essence of what we feel is right and what we feel is wrong. And famous UCLA coach John Wooden said, the true test of your character is what you do when no one is watching. And we find ourselves most of the time making these decisions when we're alone, at night watching YouTube, when we're sitting on the bus with our iPhone. And it circles back to that original question. What happens now in a world where we can't tell black from white, where everything appears gray? And it allows us to focus on the more important part of this, who gets to decide. I already told you it's not me, it's probably not your teachers, it's not your clergy, it's not Congress. Who gets to decide? The answer is you. You get to decide. You have an obligation to engage in this dialogue, to actually be the people that are thinking through these moral and ethical dilemmas of right and wrong, shaping the culture and helping us to navigate these issues of black and white, and helping to kind of forge the foundation forward for the systems that we're going to use as technology continues to advance. And hopefully, if we all get involved in this dialogue and we all get involved in thinking really deeply about what's right and what's wrong, we'll be able to better navigate all these gray matters. Thank you very much.